My wife and I, we were in the stands when she fired her last shot. And once we knew that she'd actually won a gold medal, it was unbelievable amount of pride, excitement.
Kim winning the gold, I don't know that I really expected that. It was just amazing.
Every emotion hits you at once. You want to run, you want to scream, you want to cry, you want to jump up and down, and you just don't know which one to do first. You have the American flag going to the top of the pole with thousands of people in the stands going absolutely crazy, you know, cheering USA, USA. There's really no words to describe that singular moment.
In 1996, Kim Rhode became the youngest person to ever represent the United States in the sport of shooting in the Olympics. But she wasn't done with the history books yet, far from it. When Kim went on to win her event, double trap, she became the youngest female gold medalist in the history of Olympic shooting. The 3 Olympics that followed yielded similar results: a bronze in Sydney, a gold in Athens, and a silver in Beijing, this time for skeet.
She just keeps going to the Olympics and she just keeps winning.
Next up, London and more firsts. Kim will become the only athlete to have ever competed in all 3 shotgun events. She could also become the only American athlete to win 5 medals in an individual event in 5 consecutive Olympic Games.
Shooting was just something that was a way of life. It was passed down generationally in my family. My grandfather was a houndsman and grew up in Montana and brought all that rich heritage with him to Southern California, and then taught my dad. And my dad talks about, even to this day, how he can't remember a weekend that he wasn't hunting or fishing or in the outdoors. And of course, when he married my mom and dad taught me.
When Kim was born, it was just a natural thing.
Everything we did as a family, so we took Kim with us.
She just came and started shooting with us at the range, and she started shooting the NRA junior program, 3-precision rifle, and worked her way up through marksman, pro marksman, and all the different badges and patches and certificates you could get. Then we got into shotgun shooting, and everybody said, "You're pretty good. You ought to try the club shoot." And she started shooting the club shoot. They said, "You're pretty good. You won here. Why don't you go do the state shoot?" And she went to the state shoot and won the state championships. And then they said, "You're pretty good. Why don't you go to the nationals?" And she went to the national championships and won that.
My overall champion is Kim Rhode.
And once she won that, the coaches at the Olympic Training Center caught their eye, and they invited her back to the Olympic Training Center. She was one of the youngest people to ever go back to the Olympic Training Center.
The dream to earn a place in the 1996 U.S. Olympic team. It'd be very hard, wouldn't it?
No, not really, because I'm used to already shooting skeet, so it would just be, there's only one difference. You'd just be shooting doubles. You'd be shooting at low gun.
But the other difference is that you'd be shooting against some of the best shooters in the world, then, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And you think you can do that?
Yeah.
Now we're going back and going to shoot trap and skeet in the London Olympics. Going from skeet to trap or trap to skeet, you don't see anyone do that.
Bob?
2 different games. It's like playing football and soccer. You know, I mean, they're both played with a ball, but the rules and the way you play it are totally different, and it's learning something completely over again.
We've been around a long time. We've broken a lot of clay targets, but to watch this is just absolutely amazing.
Bob?
This lady can compete against anybody. What a representative for the United States of America.
You know, I'm just gonna go out and do the very best I can and really enjoy it and have fun and let the chips lay where they may.
London will be Kim's 5th Olympics, but not likely her last. Since shooting is a sport most people can continue to enjoy their entire lives, don't be too surprised if Kim has Oscar Swan set in her sights.
The oldest medalist in the history of the Olympics was a shooter. His name was Oscar Swan. He was 72. So I'm 32. I figure I have, you know, at least 4 or 5 more in me, you know, but who's doing the math, right?
We still got a few more years to go in there, and I'm pretty sure we can get some more gold coming out of there. I believe she's capable to do quite a few things more in her life.
A shotgun shooter really doesn't hit their prime until they're in their late 40s and early 50s.
As long as Kim's got the commitment to go all the way, we're there to support her.
Some people have natural talents. I think her talent is she has excellent eye-hand coordination, has excellent eyesight, and she's able to focus on something. She can be doing something and somebody can be talking to her or walk in front of her, and she almost won't even realize that it even happened. She's so concentrated on what she's doing at the moment.
You almost have to shake her to get her out of that. It's almost like a trance.
She doesn't let anything bother her, so she just focuses on the task at hand. I don't think she really worries about the competition. It's more her against the sport itself, not against someone else. So it really allows her to focus and hone in on what she's doing. I think that's a huge part of why she's so successful.
In fact, the International Shooting Sport Federation calls Kim the most successful shotgun shooter of all time. But no competitor can do it alone.
Well, I think so many people, don't realize that making the Olympic team or going to the Olympics is not something you do on your own. It takes a lot of help, a lot of support from a lot of different people. And I am the first to say I would not be here if it wasn't for, the different organizations like NRA. I think the NRA does a lot of things, both for women and for youth, and bringing awareness of our sport, especially when we need it most. And, NRA is definitely there on the forefront, fighting for our rights and also for our children's rights and for the future of our sport. And that's what's so important and why, me as a woman, hopefully one day wanting to pass that on to my kids, why I feel it's so important and I am a part of the NRA. Sponsors are extremely important to any athlete. Kim's first sponsors were at a very young age. She was probably 10, 11 years old when Winchester Ammunition picked her up. And then Perazzi Shotguns saw her shooting and said, this is exactly what the sport needs.
All of our sponsored shooters are really the very, very best in each discipline.
You got to be able to see the champion and the kid. So you can see that in there and you start believing and you start putting your money where your mouth is and putting it right behind and just keep them going. They're gonna achieve.
Thank you, Lucio, for fitting it. Appreciate it.
Thank you for everything what you do for us.
20-something years ago, you picking me and off a field and making a gun fit and cutting all those stocks and doing all the work, really appreciate it.
Shooting has taught her that. Whatever you want to do in life, you got to practice at it.
She practices probably more than most or anyone else does. She will shoot on average before the Olympics 500 to 1,000 rounds a day, 7 days a week. Just pretty grueling training.
We're basically making it like walking. You just walk down the street. You don't think right, left, you just do it. And that's really what we try to do every day in practice.
She'll train in the rain and in the hottest parts of the day with the sun shining in her eyes because of that hard ethics that she has towards her sport, She really trains hard.
She's extremely talented in her own right, but definitely practice makes perfect, and she's a shining example of that.
Kim's zeal for shooting is matched only by her zest for life. She's an adventurous and creative young woman who indulges in many passions and crafts.
Kim surfs and she's a diver, she's a deep sea fisherman, does a lot of freshwater fishing, stream and lake fishing, a lot of camping and hiking. I've been hunting all over the world. I've hunted a ton with my family, my grandfather, my father, my mother, and as well as many, many friends.
Very crafty. She loves art. She's taken a lot of art classes. She loves to paint. She loves photography. Her dad got her interested in cars. Said that if you want to build a car, the only car to build was a Cobra. So they started building a Cobra.
I'm a motorhead. I'm up to about 13 cars now. My oldest being a 1917 Model T Spyglass Speedster, and my rarest being a 1965 AC Shelby Cobra.
Cars aren't the only items Kim collects. She's amassed an impressive collection of more than 4,000 first edition children's books to date.
Her house, which was built in 1922, is an old antique house, and she's filled it with a lot of antiques. And she got interested in children's books going through these antique stores, and she was looking for books that had a fancy binder to them that she could put in some bookshelves. And it just kind of evolved that she got into these first edition children's books. And she's learned a lot about the writers and the authors and the illustrators and the publishers.
My first books were the Wizard of Oz books. I was drawn to them based on the fact that each one had a different character on the spine, so when you put them in the bookshelf, they looked amazing. You saw kind of the artistic side, and you could tell they were really old and just cool. And people would reminisce and didn't know a lot about them. So that immediately, for me, was something that hooked me, and then from there, it just grew.
In 2003, Kim met Mike Harriman. At the time, she was training for the Pan American Games, where she later won a gold.
We actually met as a big group of people. All of our friends got together and we went and shot pool. And I noticed that she was a little different than the girls that I had been dating. And so I decided that, we'd love to go out again sometime. And then she came and picked me up, and it was an amazing car. And I knew something was up. We decided to go to the shooting range. And then we get out of the car and everybody is, hi, Kim, how's it going? Can you teach me how to do this, Kim? And so I was like, what is this, And saw her shoot 25 straight, and I knew what was up.
Kim came into the family and, she's more into the sports side, so we introduced her to a lot of different things, musically speaking.
I've been in bands probably since I was about 20 years old. I've been playing guitar since I was about 14. And I love writing music, and I love trying to sing. She didn't know too much about the music world until we started dating. I introduced her to who the Beatles were. She's gotten good, very supportive.
I've heard her play the guitar a couple songs. She's pretty good. And she picked up the violin for the first time ever in her life, and she was actually sounding pretty good on it, which is amazing because that's a really hard instrument to play.
Kim can navigate her way expertly around any range, including the one in her kitchen. She and her husband love to entertain.
She has dinner parties and she sets all her tables perfectly, and it looks like you walked into Martha Stewart's house.
And more often than not, friends find themselves taking home a jar of Kim's latest canning creation.
I took a bunch of gourmet cooking courses, so my big thing right now is canning. I do a lot of canning, jams, jellies, tuna, and a lot of the game that I hunt.
She's done so many things in her life, it's hard to find something new for her to do.
But she just enjoys doing everything, and she's up for doing anything. She always has been. Even when she was a little kid, the Girl Scout leader used to say, that's one thing about Kim, she always wants to go and do.
To get a true glimpse into Kim's personality, you need look no further than Wolfgang, the adorable Yorkie who was an anniversary present from Mike. As Kim was training Wolfgang, which is short for Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, she came up with a very fitting trick for the dog of a world champion shooter.
Bang. 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 Good boy.
It was that love of animals that led Kim to choose pre-veterinary medicine as a major at Cal Poly. But quickly realizing that life as a veterinarian and world-class shooter wouldn't mesh so well, Kim moved on to food marketing agribusiness, where today she stands just 2 classes short of receiving her degree.
Kim does not know downtime at all. She's like the Energizer Bunny. I'll be sleeping, it's like 6 in the morning. I was up late the night before, and she'll call me and be like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hello, what is it? So, what are you gonna do today? Well, I was just planning on sleeping right now. Well, people die in bed, you gotta get up and start moving and start the day. Just like, Kim, I'll call you back in a couple hours, let me sleep. So I guess that's how she balances everything. She just squeezes every minute out of the day.
Every athlete has their share of mishaps and misfortune, and Kim is no exception. In 2008, her prized Perazzi shotgun, a custom firearm worth $20,000, was stolen.
I was actually stalked for it. I had 2 guys that were following me. Ultimately, we did get the gun back a year later. But the reality is that I think from every negative, there comes a positive. And from that negative, a positive did come to me in a way of a new gun that was presented to me at my college in California, which is amazing, on campus. And it was a gun that I'm gonna be using now in the London Games. There are so many things in that road that are bumpy.
She doesn't know the meaning of the word quit. She perseveres through everything.
I've had, arm and shoulder problems, elbows, wrists, all kinds of injuries in that respect. And this last year I had a scare with cancer. I'm so blessed to have gotten the good news that it wasn't, and so many people out there don't get that news, and obviously my heart breaks for them. And I think we all have those things that pop up in life, both good and bad, and it's just in how you overcome them, and how you look at the positives, and you move forward and try to make the best out of anything.
Kim has always made the best of everything. It's an innate trait that she comes by naturally.
I think she gets that from her dad. He's the same way. You don't do something halfway. If you're gonna do it, you jump in, and maybe that is what's made her such a good shooter, because she's just jumped in with everything. But that's just her nature.
If I had to pick a couple things that I think that people should know about Kim, is she's very giving. She really tries to be a good role model for young women coming up. She has worked very hard to help all kinds of charities and organizations. She is a spokesperson for the Kids in Clay's program, where they've raised millions for the Ronald McDonald houses. And she donates countless hours and time helping to raise money for all kinds of charities.
I'm extremely proud of her, not only because she's in my family, but for everything that she's done and for what she represents, all the hard work that she's put into her sport, and just how she comes across to the world and what it means to be an American.
She's not one to brag about her accomplishments at all. She just kind of lives her life and enjoys it and does what she likes to do.
It's amazing to see how you touch people's lives. When you go to a match and a whole family shows up and they drive 100 miles with all their kids just to meet you or your daughter, to give their children kind of an inspiration of the outdoors and shooting, and they want that heritage for their kids. It really amazes you.
Kim has something special about her, I think, that she can relate to anybody that walks.
It's one of those few sports. Doesn't matter your size, your stature. So we do go head to head with the men.
To actually come out here and see her do her sport and her profession is pretty awesome, especially for someone that's never even picked up a gun.
We're gonna have to change that.
I know.
Everybody reaches a certain point in their life when they look back or want to look forward and figure out what that message is they want to either leave for the future or for the past. For me personally, I want to always introduce kids and women to the outdoors. It's something that is a legacy that I would most definitely like to leave. I mean, that's something that was handed down generationally in my family, and I'd like to most definitely pass it on to many, many more.
There aren't enough words to describe how proud, I'm looking forward to London. I'm really excited, and hopefully bring home some gold.
I know that she will do her absolute best, and her best is better than others, so I'm anticipating a win.
We have about 15 people going, so we're gonna have quite a cheering section. We can pretty well, most of the time, do a small wave in the crowd,
We're praying and we're hoping for gold, and I know that she can do it. If she doesn't, she's still a winner in our book, and she has so much to be proud of.
I think that you don't ever really think of yourself as being number one in anything that you do. You do it because you love it, because you enjoy the company, you enjoy the sport. In that singular moment, you do realize that the medal is about so much more than just the gold, the silver, the bronze. It really doesn't matter the color. It's more about the journey that it took to get there and what you had to overcome to achieve it. It's an honor. You're representing your country, and it's about so much more than just the medal or just you. It's about the United States. It's about the people who helped you get there. It's about overcoming things, good and bad. And those are the things that flash in the seconds as the flag is raising.